you doing?
Yeah.
Welcome to the Better Word Than Blerd podcast. I'm your host, Matt Lucas, with my man
Issue X. Yo, I gotta segue really quick. Right off the bat, I have to segue. Listen, what was up with the proliferation and just I'm watching this intro and I can't help myself but laugh and I'm like, yo, it's so dope. But there's so many white 90s cartoon era characters. I'm like, yo, I'm just as I'm watching, I'm thinking to myself, okay, we got a dope intro, but can I get like Static Shock or somebody just to break the, you know what I mean?
Okay, so let's talk about the intro, right? So the intro was actually the animation that I commissioned for the second season of Revenge of the Nerd. That's how that was supposed to be my intro animation for Revenge of the Nerd. So I took the characters that I picked were all characters that I picked based off of what I was into, what I liked, right? So I like X-Men, so I picked Wolverine. He's my favorite X-Men. I picked Spider-Man because he's my favorite Marvel character or whatever, right? And it also kind of like symbolizes those different, I guess, fandoms. I picked Asuka from Evangelion, which is my favorite anime. I picked Godzilla, who is raceless, but I guess we could call him Japanese.
He's a reptile.
Eminem is in there. Eminem and the Kanye West bear is in there for hip hop, right? Because these are like imagery things that are giving these different genres or different interests, and that's kind of basically what I picked it off of. That this is Better Word Than Blerd podcast, and we repurposed it for that. Largely, the whole concept of Better Word Than Blerd is that I believe that one, there's got to be a better word out there to use to identify black nerds, right? I feel like blerd is very derivative, so there's got to be a better word than that. Secondly,
it ain't white. I just gotta tell you. Nothing against white. I just gotta tell you. I was watching. I'm like, yo, this is really dope. This is really dope. And as I'm watching, I'm like, okay. Then when I saw old girl from Evangelion, I'm like, oh, okay. We're gonna talk about this because this is a better word than blerd. We're gonna have this conversation.
Well, I mean,
we're gonna do this.
I feel like the concept of blerd in itself is very divisive, right?
It's very divisive.
I mean, like, listen, I was on, I'm in a bunch of blerd groups on, the social medias. And one of them actually in their opening intro, like they're about, was like, yo, hey, this is our space. Please respect our space. White people don't come in our space. And I'm like, man.
Wow.
I'm like, man, like that's the first one that I've seen that's been like that, right? Where it's like, hey, this space is reserved for us. And I'm like, I feel like all of us would feel a kind of way if the shoe was on the other foot. You know what I mean? And I just the hypocrisy of the divisiveness for me.
So I gotta tell you, it depends on what that other foot looks like, though. It actually depends on what that other foot, what that shoe feels like.
I'm not talking about macaroni and cheese. Yeah. I'm talking about like if
no. But what I mean though is because I'm with you, right? But I'm in a few so-called blerd groups. They don't call themselves blerd groups, but I'm certainly in specifically on social media, right? And by the way, I'm Issue X, y'all. If the name on the bottom isn't, it's what it is. We didn't do a real intro because this is what we do, right? So I'm in a group on social media, right? It's specifically a black comic group with the name Black in the title, and the majority of the population in the group, thousands of people, are black, and they just support black comics, black comic related things, black comic. They don't call themselves blerds. They don't kick people out of their space, but they are proudly, very proudly, and sometimes not so proudly, fans of black characters and black comics and black creators
Exclusively.
specifically. No, not exclusively.
Okay.
Because I mean, they like other comics.
Okay.
But this specific group is specifically for the proliferation, certainly the praise and honoring, and towards specific. So that I get. That I get. And I do think Blerd is divisive. They don't refer to themselves as Blerds or the group as a Blerd group at all. And I do think Blerd is divisive. And I do think if the shoe was on the other foot, it might be problematic. But sometimes, because of the type of situation that we live in on Earth and in America in particular, like, I'm not going to use profanity, even though sometimes I think profanity is the best way to say things. Where I just do. I think it to really drive a point across.
I mean,
I'm not.
You absolutely can. You can cuss here.
But my full-fledged middle finger, of course. But my full-fledged middle fingers, in some cases, to the other foot. And there's a historical precedence for that,
Well,
right?
obviously.
Like I was, yeah. So in some cases, it's like, all right, well, some of these spaces exist because you didn't give people place or space. You know what I mean? Like you ain't include them in your space. So that's why some of these spaces exist.
But
that's all I'm saying.
I just feel like the level of hypocrisy of this idea of isolationism or just the division between or the distinction, that's a better word, the distinction of being a black nerd in a group that is exclusively for black nerds. It feels like, I think the reason why I have a different perspective on it is because I grew up in the military, right? When I say I grew up in the military, I mean, as a child, I was in the hood, right? But I still had friends that were white. You know what I mean? Not necessarily from where I was from, but from different programs that I met. And, I was born in Hawaii and I grew up in Virginia. My next door neighbor was a white kid named John, and he was my best friend. And then when I lived in Chicago, I was surrounded by a bunch of black people that, were into the same things that I was into or into other things. And, I learned those things from them. And then we moved to the suburbs of Chicago, and my best friend was white again. His name was Mark, and we were into the same things. It's never been like, yo, this is only for me, or this is only, you know what I mean? Like everywhere I've been, it's been, predominantly a very melting pot type of experience. Chicago is a very diverse city. The south side of Chicago is black as fuck. You know what I mean? But when you go up north, or if you go, in the suburbs, there's all sorts of people, and that kind.
I grew up in a similar background.
Yeah,
I grew up very much in the hood, via the projects or the hood, but because I grew up with a single mom who was educated, I was exposed to my white friends. I didn't just stay in the hood. Right. I got carted off and put in programs, and you know what I mean? So I didn't just stay in the hood. So I was exposed to these things. And there's a level of indoctrination that is both positive and negative that comes from that. And it is an indoctrination because it causes us to see and accept things in an ideal way, in a very ideal and a very altruistic way for what they are. But that shouldn't allow us to ignore that. And because what you're speaking about, right, when you say that there's a level of hypocrisy, brass and tacks, right? Black and white, of course. That's what it is. If you really want to define it, 100%, it's what it is. However, it isn't if you consider that there's a difference between segregation, which is not willful, like I can't play in this space because you just won't let me, versus I choose to be in this space. I'm choosing. I have an opportunity to come play in this space, but I'm actually choosing to play over here in this space. So, yes, I can come play in this space, but I'm choosing to say, you know what? I want to go over here and I just kind of want to play in this space. And you can come and you can observe and you can kind of participate, but I want you to understand that this is the space that we created. And while there may be a measure of hypocrisy to it, the reason why we can say this is because of a situation that you created. You actually created the situation and the circumstances by which we sometimes have to say, in order for us to do this safely, we have to do it in our own space.
I think that's fair. I think that deserves some applause. I feel like the only issue that I have with that issue is I can understand having a space and allowing outsiders into that space, and then the outsiders perverting that space. So there's a level of understanding of why, you know what I mean? Like I mean, especially with as toxic as the internet is, and as how intentional as some people are with the trolling or, baiting and, all that stuff, right? I feel like there is definitely room for, people that are not black coming into a black space and disrupting things intentionally just for the fuck of it. As much so as there's probably people that are there that appreciate it, that are just there for the appreciation of it. Or they're an ally, right? They're there to support, I personally, it's not for me, right? I mean, even when I grew up and I was reading like Malcolm X, and the idea of isolationism and policing our own, this idea that, white people can't police us. We need to be policing in our own communities. We need to have our own commerce and economies and all these things, right? I never really bought into that idea, because to me it was the opposite of the idea of that, hey, everything can be all of this stuff at one time. You know what I'm saying? It's for me, it felt like the same thing, right? It's like, the thing that we don't like, the ostracization, the discrimination, the stereotypes, the assumptions, those things are then perpetuated against someone else. You know what I mean? And I felt like my life experience taught me otherwise, right? I've known plenty of white people who I've admired, grew up, was best friends with, we created art with, enjoyed my fandoms with, you know what I mean? Like, and I didn't feel like their skin color made any difference other than when it came to issues of culture, right? And them just not knowing, that experience or being aware of what that experience is.
But there's an inherent problem here that is above you and above me, right? That's not something that, not above us, but it's something that is beyond us, meaning that, and it exists, right? The overarching theme generally, and not even in a conscious, I think it's a part of the subconscious makeup of our country, of, because of, we come from a country with such a strong and deep history of some sort of race relations, be they positive or negative, period. And that theme is, and that issue is, and this is real, many white people, be it consciously or subconsciously, tend to confuse pro-black with anti-white. Hence why those spaces that may be pro-black spaces, when the door is opened to white people or non-black people, like you said, they could become tarnished, or they could become, and when I say that, listen, let's talk about a Blerd group. Let's say Blerd group starts because this group really wants to celebrate black creators. Sometimes people just having the question to a black person, there's a criticism. It's why the spaces aren't safe. We get criticized in these spaces. Again, I agree with you. I'm 100%. Listen, I've been impacted by. I have some very important people in my life that are white or non-black. Like, I don't have any problem. This isn't a racist issue, right? We're just talking about Blerd spaces, and is it hypocritical? And I don't know how. This is kind of organic conversation on how we got on this, maybe because, and that's another thing I wanted to ask you about too. Like, so the rapper in the intro, can't it be a black rapper? Like, why do we go with Why did we go with this?
Well, here's the thing. Is it possible if I put 21 Savage or Kendrick Lamar in the intro, would you automatically get rapper and who that is?
Why not Biggie?
Is it because I think because none of them have this alter ego that can be cartoonized in my mind, right?
MF Doom?
Sure, we could do MF Doom, but I feel like MF Doom. I'd be posing because I'm not an MF Doom fan, right? But I mean, this is the same reason I put the Kanye West Dropout Bear in there, right? Graduation Bear. It's the same reason I put Graduation Bear in there because I felt like it was symbolic. Yeah, of that fandom, that genre, that audience, right? And the same thing with Eminem. But to me, Eminem and this alter ego of, the Jason mask and the, like for me, I felt like that was giving of Eminem, right? Automatically, I'm talking about some Eminem, Slaughterhouse, D12, blah, 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 right? Which I am a fan of. And I do, Eminem is definitely one of my top 5. You understand? He's not my favorite rapper, but as far as like if I'm ranking like who I think is the most skilled and blah blah blah, like Eminem tops the list he's in the top 5 for me in that list. Either way, could I have put 21 Savage on there? Yes, but does it really give 21 Savage if I put 21 Savage on there? It's not like 21 Savage has.
It wouldn't.
You know what I mean? Like, if I put Kendrick Lamar on there, you know what I mean? Like, is it really gonna give Kendrick Lamar? You know what I mean? Is it?
But that's interesting, right? Because that speaks to a level of indoctrination that isn't. It does. But here's the thing, and this is the reason why. I love it. I love how right away we just are deconstructing our own shit and just going at it. Like, that's dope.
You started
like, it's dope.
With the intro.
Listen, because I'm watching the intro and I'm like, we could go homogenized, right? Especially when it comes to hip hop. I think that there are recognizable hip hop stars that have alter egos that I think, like, especially with hip hop, like a Biggie. I think a cartoon version of Biggie is so recognizable.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
You know what I mean? And I think that would do. You know what I mean? It would do the thing.
I'm a Biggie fan. I don't know that it fits in that vibe of what the intro is, though.
I think it does, and that's fine. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. One way or the other. But
I mean, you can say the same thing about Tupac. Tupac is very iconic. You can take.
I think Biggie is better though, and the reason why I think Biggie is the reason why I think Biggie is a better example is because when you think of Biggie's music, right, and when you think of homogeny, I don't care who you are or where you are. If a certain beat drops, everybody from every culture recognizes that's Biggie, and they probably start to bop their head. You know what I mean? And Pac don't have that cash.
Oh, you out of your mind? Pac is worldwide.
60-year-old white women ain't like, I see some ladies tonight that should be having my baby. From the South, they not. It's when that come on, they might be like, I see some ladies. Martha Stewart, I see some ladies tonight. But ain't no 60-year-old white woman in the South like, come with me, Hail Mary. Run quick, see.
I don't think a 60-year-old woman is doing any of the shit you saying. But a 60-year-old white woman ain't doing none of that shit. But
they recognize. I see some ladies tonight that should be having my baby.
Globally, Tupac is way more recognizable globally than Biggie.
His music or him?
Imagery, iconic wise, right? Well, that's what we're basing this on.
Okay.
We're basing this on. If I replaced Eminem with the an animated version of Tupac, you know what I mean?
Tupac Shakur.
I think that would give, but it also would be so cliche, and you know what I mean? Like, it's, I don't know.
Eminem is not cliche.
I think Eminem gives Eminem. You know what I mean? Like you know what I mean? Like the branding of the Jason mask and stuff like that. Like, to me, I felt like that vibe, man. I'm willing to take the criticism. I'm not changing that intro. We might not use that as an intro, but I'm not changing that
No,
animation.
no, no, no. I'm not. I think it's interesting
No, it
when
is
we,
100%.
obviously,
It
because
is.
a better word than blurred, and it was the first thing that occurred to me is like, okay, well, and I don't even mean it to be no type of way. I'm just looking at the contrast,
You know
right?
what?
Comparison
Now
and
that I'm thinking
contrast.
about this, and we're kind of breaking this down, the more I've always had this inclination, and I didn't want to say it because I knew there would be kind of like blowback for it, right? Pause. But I think that nerd is a better word than blurred. I think nerd is a better word than blurred.
I agree.
You know what I mean? Like it's inclusive, it's open, it's uh staple and standard, is universally recognized. It doesn't sound like a wet fart. Like I think nerd is a better word than blurred. And just that I'm black and a nerd, like doesn't define the nerdness of what the discussions or topics or what the content is. It just means that that's the lens that it's perceived from.
Well, I mean, it's interesting, right? Because nerd dumb, so to speak, is so loosely defined, or
It
such a
is.
broad term that covers a lot. Listen, could the political pundits be considered nerds? Right? Could the science guy,
News
there's the one really
nerds.
really
Yeah.
cool science dude who just makes
Rocket
science
science
cool, you know what I
nerds.
mean?
Yeah.
He just kind of makes it cool and he talks about it in a cool way, which that is the actual original definition of nerd, right?
Was just a
Um
level of intelligence beyond average, is what I understood it to be. That's what
you
a
well
nerd.
now nerd encompasses like fanboyism and
Yeah, 100%.
fangirlism
Well, yeah.
and geekdom as well, right?
Yes.
I mean, I've never considered myself to be that until I found myself. People tell like, listen, I'm gonna keep it real with you. Like, I grew up, I ran the streets, really ran the streets, and
Really
I read
ran the
comics,
streets. I really
and I
ran the streets.
and I read comics, and I read books, right? All the things that because there was a dichotomy, there was a hard line, right? You were an athlete, or you were this, or you were that. Like, I played football, I ran cross country, I ran track, I participated in athletics, participated in martial arts, joined the military, did all of these manly things. You know what I mean? These so-called uber
But you read
masculine
comics
things.
too.
But I also read comics. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I also read books.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was well read outside of just comics.
Why is that surprising?
Well, because listen, we're on a show called Better Word Than Blurred because there is a need to differentiate or to have a space where Black people, and I'm not saying that's the need for our show, but where we recognize that there's a need for Black people to stand up and say, hey, not surprisingly, we read a fucking book. You know what I mean? Not surprisingly, we understand, rocket science, perhaps, you know what I mean? Or quantum physics, or not surprisingly, we can articulate ourselves. So
yeah, I think it begs the question, why is that surprising? And I think it's because of the general perception outside of our communities of our community. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
and that's perpetuated through media,
and even within our
media,
community.
You know what I mean, like, yeah, and
even within our community,
yeah, for sure, 100%, 100%.
There's stigmas. There's certainly certain things are stigmatized. Certain things are, Black intelligence isn't a minority thing, but what many people might look at as fandom or nerddom is certainly stigmatized and can be looked at a certain way. Like, there's been plenty of situations where I had to let people know, we just had a conversation the other day where, like, yo, F around and find out. Listen, it'll be a bad day. Something is rotten in the state of Denmark today. It'll be a real bad day. Really, don't take the fact that I just finished reading the X-Men comic book. Don't take that as some sort of weakness.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes people, you get stereotyped and you get
I mean,
classified.
Yeah, I think that we live in a realistic world now where you really just can't lean on stereotypes and isms anymore because it's just so it's been proven to not be that so often now that it's almost dumb to just have those perceptions and expectations. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
is.
but there are also tropes and stereotypes that hold true, right? They absolutely hold true.
Most stereotypes were based in a truth.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean they're the absolute truth. It doesn't
Right.
mean that that's the only truth. It just means that
Right.
it's a pretty generic and generalization, which in itself is wrong.
Well, it's a generalization in most cases founded on something that appeared to be true, or at least an example of something that someone saw enough times to make a stereotype.
How many times did they watch niggas eat chicken to associate that? I mean, like how many times did that happen? You know what I mean? Like, at what point did somebody say, "Damn, man, they really like this chicken shit, bro"? You know what I'm saying? Like, they really be fucking this up. You know what I mean? Like, how does that happen?
I mean, how many plates of unsalted?
How many egg sandwiches? How much mayo?
Yo, how many mayonnaise sandwiches did it take to realize?
Yo, have you ever eaten a mayonnaise sandwich?
Never in my life,
Two
bro.
pieces of bread and mayo?
Never in my life, bro.
Bro, I would
Never
eat butter bread
in
before
my
I eat.
life.
You eat butter bread? Butter bread?
I've eaten butter bread before.
A mayo sandwich is madness, bro. That's some crazy shit.
So when we talk about stereotypes, obviously we know that white people ain't walk around eating mayo sandwiches over a butter. But
I want to know who came up with that and why. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm just
who
saying,
came up with that shit? Like, I feel like a mayo sandwich is what happens when a white woman and a white man get together.
I mean, how much unseasoned salt can you put on a food before it becomes, you're like, you know what?
Unseasoned salt? What is unseasoned salt? What is that? What is salt without seasoning? What?
Mr.
Okay, so listen, I think we harped enough on what
stereotype
this whole Blerd thing is, and this won't be the last time we talk about this. This is a huge point of contention for me. You know what I mean? Like, I just, you know what I mean? Like, I come from a space that is very, very inclusive, and I believe in inclusivity. So I feel like exclusion. I mean, no one should be excluded. You know what I mean? I'm one of them woke babies.
but that's the thing, right? We're not talking about exclusion. I think you are, but most of these groups, and most of these channels don't talk about exclusion.
They're not exclusive. Like, they're not like blacks only groups. Most of the groups that I'm in, there are all sorts of people in these groups.
The problem is the people in the groups, and this is, I'm gonna keep it real with you. Yo, there is no, and I'm gonna make a disclaimer now, and I really want to make a disclaimer now. I've said this before. You will hear me say it again. Some of the biggest allies to the African American culture in the United States are white liberals. Not all white liberals.
I feel like they be caping harder than we do.
Like, be caping, like really caping,
big
and
caping.
So I want to be clear on that.
With how cape they be. I got a friend, and she's so liberal, bro. She's like the stereotypical liberal, like the white woman is like getting triggered and probably has colored hair type shit. Like,
listen, when we talk about minority groups that are allies to black people, and I'm not speaking about women or the LGBTQ community, I'm speaking specifically people of color.
Yeah.
I would say that white liberals are the greatest ally when it comes to showing up for all the things. We had a conversation before about people showing up for the marches, and some people were disappointed, other people didn't. White liberals show up for all. They'll show up for all the things. Like, they're gonna show up for all the things, and that's just what it is.
They feel like I think that the compelling nature of their showing up is based on this idea that yo, there's people that look like me that are representing the opposite of what I stand for. And so I need to make sure people understand that, one, I don't stand for that. And two, there are people like me that look like them that don't stand for that as well. Like, it's not all of us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, some of us have common sense and some of us are not. You know what I mean? Like, assholes.
And the reason why I make this disclaimer, it goes back to what I said before. When we talk about the groups that we're talking about, and they're not excluding, they don't exclude. The problem is many regular white people, by virtue of, and you and I kind of disagreed and agreed earlier, but kind of disagreed, but by virtue of, for a long time in American history, and in some areas of the world history, white is the default. So we talk about the same indoctrination and the same thought process, that you don't even think that maybe these people should have their space if they so choose, and that I'm a guest in their space if I choose to go into that space. Like, it doesn't even cross your mind. So then you begin to question things while in that space, and you don't question it from a perspective of, I want to be argumentative or I want to be a piece of crap towards you. I generally don't understand why you need to have the space to celebrate this or that thing.
I don't know that that's true, bro.
I see it all the time. I see it all the time.
I'm not saying,
I see
I'm not
people go
whether
in.
It exists. I just don't know that I agree with that.
How many white people do you know that don't understand why black people can say nigga?
All of them.
And they have a problem with it.
All of them.
And will criticize and question.
White people, period, have a problem with being told what to do.
That's what I'm getting at. That's the energy.
It's less the word and just being told what they can and can't do. Like,
but this is the energy I'm speaking to.
Yeah, but
this is the specific energy I'm speaking to. Yeah, like, wait a minute. Why? Go on.
What I'm saying is that if I go into a Muslim neighborhood, right, and I am a guest in that neighborhood, and I have questions, and I'm asking questions because I want to understand, and I am like watching Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel, I felt like somebody invited me into their neighborhood and was like, hey, this is what our communities look like, and this is how we get down. And I was like, this is kind of cool. You know what I mean? I felt like I feel like a white person invited to the cookout. That's what I felt like. Like that same energy, hey, come look at how we do things. And, the questions that came from that, I feel like that's a natural thing. And there's nothing wrong with that energy. I feel like that space should be allowed, right?
Yeah, but you didn't go into that neighborhood questioning why that culture should be celebrated.
No, I mean, like, because I believe that all cultures should be celebrated.
Right, but you didn't go into that neighborhood, that culture's neighborhood, and ask that question.
Right.
Why did you didn't say, hey, Disney, why did you do that in that space and make it about that and celebrate those things and highlight those things and be super accurate when you could have just put it in this space? And you never asked that question. For instance, right? Many white people have said to me, yo, and I made this comparison. Maybe I didn't make it to you. Maybe I made it to someone else. I actually did make it to someone else. Many white people have said to me, yo, I like the first Black Panther film, but it was too tribal. It's really tribal. What is it supposed to be? But imagine if I said, speaking to the hypocrisy that we were talking about earlier, right? Imagine if I said, yeah, man, I really like The Godfather, but it's just too Italian.
I mean, it sounds less offensive and more ridiculous, actually.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is.
It's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. But these were some of the critiques for people that wasn't being racist. They didn't understand why y'all needed to celebrate Africa so hard in a superhero movie. It's really tribal. And my kids don't understand that, and I possibly can't explain that to them.
So I think that speaks
my mother never struggled with understanding or explaining to me, forget about it, or the things the things that are inherently Italian mafia lingo when watching mafia movies. There was no struggle for her to say, you know what? yeah, when she's having a discussion around the water cooler, she's not talking about, The Godfather. It was just so Italian, and it was so steeped in Italian gangster culture that it was, very difficult for my kids who, when they watched it, to really understand and pick up. This wasn't a struggle.
Yeah, no, you make sense. That's very, very true. But I think from an imperialistic perspective, that's where you get that idea of, well, why do you need to celebrate, or why do you need? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like slaves getting married and jumping over whatever. You know what I mean? Like why do you need to feel the way I feel about myself? Because you're not me. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, like, I think that we live in a society where so much of it is steeped and based on that imperialistic perspective. Not to dig deep into this, we talked about blurred spaces, the need for blurred spaces, the necessity for it, the hypocrisy of it. Let's get a little more personal, okay? Tell me a little bit about yourself and what are you into? What's your jam?
I mean, I'm into comics. You know that. I'm
Right.
a big. As far as in the nerd spaces, I'm big into comics. Anime.
Okay, anime,
Yep. Comics, anime, film.
film. Okay,
Those are my things. That's my jam. That's
so
my
just
mayonnaise
those
sandwich.
three. Just those three.
I mean, I'm sure I can think of more, but nothing jumps off the shelf mentally right away.
I feel like I am overflowing with interests and fandoms, right? And then I see these other fandoms, and I'm like, that's a little much for me, but I ain't far off from it, right? Like I do comics. Obviously, I collect comics. Big into Marvel movies and Marvel media. I've always been big into Marvel, right?
I'm into superhero film altogether.
You know what? I mean, I say that, but then a movie like Superman comes out and I haven't seen it yet, and I ain't really pressed to see it. You know what I mean?
Oh, I'm pressed. I'm pressed.
I'm not that pressed. You know what I mean? Like I'm really not. I'm curious, but I'm not pressed. Like I will see Fantastic Four when it comes out that Thursday night, like without doubt. You know what I mean? Like, but Superman, like whatever. You know what I mean? Batman Begins, whatever. The Batman, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's because I'm tired of seeing Batman on film.
I mean, I'm just speaking. It's just for me. It's a Marvel thing. I've always gravitated more to Marvel when I was growing up. So that's my jam. So Marvel. I mean,
me too.
Marvel comics. I collect Marvel statues. I'm a statue collector. I have Marvel statues. 1/4 scale statues. I've got like a nice little collection. I've also got some anime statues, specifically Evangelion statues, because I'm a huge Evangelion fan. I would say I used to be a super nerd when it came to anime, but I think I got aged out. You know what I mean? Like I started to watch a lot of the newer stuff, and it just didn't hold up across the board. There was just more anime that came out that was mediocre than what I used to see before. It was a little more concentrated back in the day. You know what I mean? Not to say there isn't good stuff that comes out now. There is. And I still watch some stuff, but I'm just not pressed. But yeah, anime to that extent. So we talk about comics, video games. I play video games. I would consider myself pretty casual though.
I'm a very casual gamer.
Yeah,
but I'm a gamer.
Yeah, I would say I game. You know what I mean? Like I know enough to be dangerous. You know what I mean? I know enough that don't see me online in Street Fighter. It might be a problem for you. But I'm not Lupe Fiasco beating Daigo. Speaking of Lupe Fiasco, I'm big into hip hop. You know what I mean? Like hip hop would probably be my biggest like nerd space, right? I over some hip hop, bro. I love.
I don't know that hip hop is a nerd space.
Oh
though,
yeah, for sure. There's definitely hip hop.
I don't. I mean, yeah, I agree that there are hip hop nerds, but I don't know that it's actually a nerd space.
Oh, but as far as the community,
but it's safe. It's safe.
Yeah.
It's safe.
I collect Super Sentai, which is like Japanese Power Rangers, like the source material for Power Rangers. I collect, some figures from that, and I used to really watch it. I used to cosplay when I had, when I didn't have my father figure. You know what I'm saying? I used to throw that spandex on and have my helmet on and get down with
Be a Power Ranger.
Yeah, I used to, but I mean
I was right. A Power Ranger.
Yeah, dead ass.
But why a Power Ranger?
Because I liked it. You know what I mean? People who cosplay is the things they like, right? You know what I mean?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, whatever. So like, I don't know if you know this, but Super Sentai is way cooler and way better than Power Rangers. Power Rangers is kind of hokey and corny. I'm not a big Power Rangers fan, but Super Sentai, the source material where they get the Japanese footage from, that is more compelling to me. I've always been, a bigger fan of that. Even when I was watching Power Rangers as a kid, I knew that those scenes and shots were shot from Japan. I knew that was Japanese footage.
proudly unaware of any of the Power Rangers fandom because I knew it was a thing. Mm-hmm. I didn't have to be exposed to it. I was so glad that I was aged out when Power Rangers was a thing.
Yeah.
Because looking back on it, I'm like, yo, there's no way.
I should have been aged out.
There's no way. I grew up in the 80s, and even in the 80s, watching those cartoons, I demanded more. I was highly critical of the dope cartoons that I grew up impacted by. There's no way I would have accepted Power Rangers.
I think that I was more compelled just to be able to see the tokusatsu footage, right? That was the only way you could see it back then. There was like no influx of media that came in, so the closest you can get to anything like that was either that, Ultraman, Gamera, Godzilla, right? The the giant robots stepping on cities, fighting monsters, or the martial arts action shots or whatever, the stunt choreography. That's what I was into. You know what I mean? I don't want to get into what I don't like about Power Rangers, but it just know it ain't all that, right? It's not like, to me.
Oh, I'm definitely a kung fu flick nerd.
So okay, that's a
hardcore.
I think I used to be, but
hardcore. I still am.
I never got into like seeing the different titles and names of each one, and like people would talk about them, and I just would be like, yo, it was just something that was on, and I just watched it on Samurai Sunday, which is a crazy name for
it's
Kung
terrible.
Fu
It's
Samurai
so
Sunday.
Terrible.
Another one is
so bad.
Japanimation was a show that came.
Yes, man, Japanimation. So we called it Cat's Pajamas here, right? That's what it was called, Cat's Pajamas. It was the block of kung fu movies. What
does that mean, Cat's Pajamas?
It means cat's pajamas. It's just, cat's pajamas. I mean, what did any of it mean, right? If you look at some of those old martial arts movies names, like Hero falls from Snake's Shadow's fist, Ego lands over, you know what I mean? Like, no, yeah, it was called Cat's Pajamas.
But
I'm big into reading novels, huge into reading, like, I'm a Chinese history nerd.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No,
I'm a history nerd.
I'm not a big reader. I'm a big liver. That's so weird to say. I'm a big life living person, right? I hate going to spaces and trying to capture content. That's why I'm bad at social media, because I really like the life experience. For me is a big deal, right? And I feel like most of the things that I've learned in life haven't been through books. It's been through experience and discussion and, being open to learning.
Listen up, kiddies. Stay away from the books.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. There's things that I have not gotten in life that I've only gotten from books, and I'm not good at those things. So, we talk about statues. I'm Star Wars is my jam right now. Star Wars is all right. So look,
right now,
it's bad, bro. Big bad. Like my family, my daughter. My son and my wife were adamant for years. You gotta watch Clone Wars. I'm not watching that. It looks dumb. It looks like a kid's cartoon. I don't want to watch that. You gotta watch Clone Wars, Dad. You just don't know. I'm like, all right, fine. I watched the end of Andor season 2. And I was just like, yo, I'm really on this. I need more Star Wars to consume. I need more, you know? Because Andor season 2, well, Andor period was brilliant. I don't know if you know anything about that, but Andor was brilliant. And I was like, I need more Star Wars media. I immediately started watching Clone Wars. And after getting through like the first 6 episodes of season 1, I got into like leaning forward into everything else, and it was just like downhill from there. I watched all of Star Wars. I couldn't stop watching Clone Wars. And then I went right into Rebels and was watching Star Wars Rebels. I'm talking about indoctrinated, bro. I spent nights like not sleeping looking for like which alien do I want to cosplay as in the Star Wars universe. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, man, huge into Star Wars right now. It's bad. Bad. I mean, like, yo, I might drop a G on a Jedi robe outfit to wear to Disney. Like, it's bad, bro. Like, I made a lightsaber. I bought a lightsaber. I got a couple lightsabers, right? I've had a couple lightsabers because lightsabers are fucking cool. But I customized one of them. Like, I had to make it I gotta get it. Hold on. Like, this is my lightsaber, okay? And it's like, this is a Saber Trio. Is it Saber Trio? I think it's Saber Trio. Yeah, Saber Trio Senza. But, like, I've made modifications to it. So I don't know if, like, you could see that. But I've made modifications to it. So this is normally on this side. It's a lot shinier. I weathered it. I added these things. These are actually from cameras, right? But these are like dumb loud. Oh God. Like this is so cool, right? And if I twist this, it's a quick disconnect for the blade to come out or whatever. But this is my lightsaber. This is my custom lightsaber. I even came up with a character. My own original character for the Star Wars universe. So my kid, he used to we used to go to Jack in the Box. And when Aiden was really little, he couldn't say Jack in the Box. So he'd say Jumbako. Can we go to Jumbako? Or whatever. And so I took that as my Star Wars universe name for my character. So when I go to Disney, next time I'm going to be in a Jedi robe. I don't know if I'm going to be an alien species or I'm going to be human, but I will be the character Junbako. And
you're going to walk around Disney in a Jedi robe with a lightsaber?
Oh, God bless. Yes, I've already done it. I just wasn't Junbako when I did it. I'm going to be Junbako now. Going to be Junbako.
Does the rest of the family participate?
It depends on how they feel. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't,
Okay. So I want to segue really quickly. I think that's really, first of all, I think that's really dope. I think that you are actually showing the world right here, right now, live in color, in the flesh, your nerddom, like hard all the way in. You know what I mean? All the way. The lightsaber, just the way he's like, yo, I got to get it. Like, I got to get the lightsaber to let it be known. This is what I do.
All right. Real quick. You recently had a very important pickup in your collecting, and I had a couple pickups as well. I just wanted to really quickly
two really dope pickups.
Yeah. I really love the tell us about what you got, brother.
Oh yeah. I grabbed two very important books. One of them I think is one of the most important mainstream key comics of the modern era.
Okay.
I finally got my Miles Morales Ultimate Fallout 4 first appearance of Miles Morales CGC 98.
Is that a custom label?
CGC 98 custom label, custom Miles Morales label.
Very nice.
CGC 98. And I also picked up another very important book that I think is going to be very huge and that everyone should have in their collection. Unfortunately, there's only 14,000 of them in circulation and not all of them are 9/8. So West Coast Avengers number 7, a first appearance of Jeff, the land shark.
Oh.
Yeah, blowing up
Jeff
outside
is
of
hugely popular
time.
because of
He's
Rivals.
huge because of Rivals. Huge.
Yeah.
And the thing is, Marvel may have captured lightning in a bottle with this particular character because mainstream audiences, I mean, plush toys, little Dora the Explorer, Jeff television shows, T-shirts. He's Baby Yoda cute. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he may turn out to be one of the most important Marvel IPs of the 21st century, and not as a comic IP outside of comics. Very, very, very big book.
I think the decision to include Jeff in Rivals was such a brilliant strategic move.
The thing with the inclusion of Jeff, right, is it wasn't even just that they included him. It's that attention was really brought to him because he was broken at first. He was like really OP. So it made everyone, he was the first broken character in Rivals in the very first release.
Oh.
So like everyone knew who Jeff was because of it, because it's this little land shark character that's broken.
I mean, it also,
you know what I mean?
design wise, it warrants a lot of attention. It's a very iconic like design. It warrants
Certainly now
Yeah.
now it's iconic.
Well, yeah, but I mean, just the design of it. Period would have been a design that stands. It's kind of like Gloop, right? Gloop is the design that, you know what I mean. Like, you're never gonna confuse Gloop with anything else. Am I saying this?
I don't even know what Gloop is.
From X-Force.
Dupe.
Is that the weird green blob thing? Dupe. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I feel like that design is brilliant. Not Dupe, but Jeff. Right?
We are some nerds. We are some nerds, boy.
Yeah.
Dope.
I had some pickups too. Let me
What'd you get? What'd you get?
My
What'd you
pickups right
get?
quick.
He grabbed the new Eminem album.
This guy. There's a new Eminem album?
No.
So, the first one, I grabbed this. I had this in a 9.6, and I went on. I have a 9.6 that's pressable, 100% pressable defects. Probably bring it to a 9.8. Really lazy. Haven't turned it in yet. But I was at Maximum Comics, and they had this.
Oh, that's dope. EOS 2?
Oh yeah.
You got to show it so we can see it. Put it in front of your face.
You're trolling me right now.
I'm not. You
are.
can only see it.
It's literally right in frame.
Is that a custom label?
It is. It's a Spider-Verse custom label. So
That's
I'm going to be
cool.
selling my 9.6. Very happy to get that. First appearance of Gwen Stacy. I mean, first appearance of Spider-Gwen.
You can put that right next to your Miles Morales.
I can put it next to my Miles Morales and my my first Spider-Boy. And my first Spider-Girl that I got from you. This was my other pickup.
Riri.
I was so inspired by the show. I was soft on this, getting this before. And after like episode 4, I was like, listen, I'm buying it. Speaking of Ironheart, what are your thoughts on the series? What did you think? What do you think about the aftermath of it? We've got to talk about that.
Okay, so it's interesting, right? Because I'm suffering from right now. I'm being impacted mentally and emotionally by what I'm gonna coin this term for nerddom: race loyalty, right? And I feel like there's some things that I want to say about the show that I just shouldn't say, because it takes away from my overall opinion, which is that the show is great.
You think you have things to say that will take away from the fact that it was great?
I think that in certain circles, right, people might take. So this is the thing, and it's very interesting for me. It's really difficult right now, and it's something that I've talked to some other people about, and it's hard for me to navigate, because I think the show is really great. The problem is I recognize that there is a absolute agenda to debase how good the show is. And many of the people carrying the torch for that didn't even watch the show. and have said as much. So I feel like an honest critique can be used against me in a court of law, so to speak, right? Like if I give an honest critique, if I say some of the things that I want to say, I feel like it's going to co-sign hate. I think there's an active agenda, an anti so-called woke agenda. Listen, we're in the same Blerd communities. I've actually seen people say, I'm not watching the show. It's garbage, or I couldn't get through the first episode, so I'm not even going to finish because I never asked for this character, so I'm not going to watch it. And then go on to describe and make a case for why the show is garbage, but you didn't consume it. You didn't. And so I feel like, okay, I have some real critiques, right? Like my first critique would be Riri to me is the most unlikable character in a brilliant show. Like a brilliant show. The show is great. I don't like the MCU's Riri, and what I mean is I don't not like the character as in this character sucks. I mean, you've given me a person whose personality as a character, as a human being in the show, I wouldn't care for you if I knew you.
Right.
I wouldn't fuck with you. You understand what I'm saying? Like if I knew you, I'm not fucking with you.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? That's what I mean. Not like, this person just sucks. You know what I mean? No.
Do you feel like it's because it's inauthentic, or is it because like it's counter to your perspective or your...
No. It's just because I don't like you in the way that I didn't like Littlefinger in Game of Thrones, because you're just not a likable person.
Okay.
Right? So I'm not supposed to like you.
Yeah.
Right? And this is one of the things that we have. It's a curse of nerddom, right? Like in nerddom, and in many cases, we get products where the character that is supposed to be the most unlikable turns out to be the most popular. Obviously, that won't be the case for Riri, but Darth Vader is an example. There's tons of examples of, characters that you're the bad guy. We're not supposed to like you. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then we find ourselves liking you, or you making you the most popular. In this case, not so with Riri, right? Like we're supposed to like you, right? Like we're actually, at least I feel like I'm supposed to. And everyone's like, "Yo, there's going to be a redemption arc or what have you," and it's like, "Yo, I'm supposed to like Riri."
I mean,
I like Riri.
Just counter to jump in right quick. I hated Riri before in Black Panther 2 in Wakanda Forever. I absolutely abhorred her. Like it was like, I hated. I thought it was the actress's fault. And then watching Ironheart, it began that way, and then I started to empathize with the character and the struggle immediately in the first episode when they nailed it. She said, "I'm not grieving." I immediately empathized with her 100%. I was like, I get it all. This chick is going through grief, right? And it made me understand and be more lenient to, I guess, everything that was going on with her. Because I know what it's like to go through that level of grief and to lose someone that close to you and to kind of lose your way and not know how to respond. Sure, are there people who lose people every day and they don't go through that? Sure. Of course they do. They just do their same thing. I didn't, right? I'm not saying I went and robbed banks. You know what I'm saying? But it took a while for me to find who I was again, and that level of disassociation with who I liked in myself before, and then not being that person after the loss. I 100% agree with that. 100%. And as it went on further, I started to like her, like actually like her. And then by the end of it, I was like, I'm a fan of Riri Williams. I need this book. You know what I mean? Now, how the show ended and, what happened at the end, very interesting take. Definitely calls into question the character of the character, or the flaws of the character. And I think we're not used to seeing that. We're not used to having to live with a character's flaws like that. I guess it's not true though, because the flaws of like Tony Stark, those were flaws
Mm-hmm.
that stuck with him, right?
Mm-hmm.
The flaws of Wanda, those are flaws that
Mm-hmm.
stuck with her. So I guess I
Mm-hmm.
can't really say that. I think it was just so blatant at that point. Did you know she kept the cape? Did you know that?
Which she are we speaking of?
Riri.
Kept what cape?
Okay, the hood. She kept the hood.
Oh yeah.
And that the hood was actually affixed to the Ironheart armor in one of the last scenes. Like she's like actively keeping it. Like what?
So here's the thing, right? Because there's a difference, and one of the things that you pointed out, which is interesting, right? You pointed out an aspect of character, right, which was certainly driven by experiences, right? And that aspect is grief, right, and how she chooses to grieve, and or not even necessarily chooses to grieve, but how her grief manifests in her life, right?
Yeah.
And this is an aspect of character. But what I'm speaking about though is her overall character, right? Like her overall character as portrayed in this show. And this is okay. It's what they wrote. So I'm not saying that Riri sucks as a character like you thought prior to, you know what I mean, this show. I'm saying that
I thought that the portrayal sucked.
I don't think so. I'm gonna I'm gonna speak on that.
Like, it was never an attack on Riri because I don't know Riri from the comics that well.
So first of all, Dominique Thorne is as wooden of an actor as Keanu Reeves or Kristen Stewart is. Both of them have had very successful film careers. Both of them have movies that I enjoy, right? Both of them have movies that I enjoy. Dominique Thorne is, to me, she's so fucking wooden, but it's okay because I enjoy you when I see you on screen. You know what I mean? You don't emote. It's the same emote. I don't know if you're happy or sad. It's the same emote. I get the same. It's your range from emoting is very limited. You know what I mean? And it's okay because this is a critique, but it doesn't take away from my enjoyment of you in the role. You are Riri Williams. It just so happens that the way the character is written, Riri Williams, not Dominique Thorne, Riri Williams is unlikable to me as fuck. And I'm not talking about an aspect of character based upon your ability to grieve, because you were able to go away to school. You were able to work on your armor all during this time period, right? Your grief became more relevant when you came back home, and we understood that there was something traumatic that happened in your life twice over in a singular moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Twice over, you had something terrible happen to you. But what you chose to do to meet your own needs, which to me isn't a product of grief, right? To get this suit built, what you chose to do, blackmail, strong arm, steal, be complicit in a murder, work with villains, not save a single, nobody got saved by Riri Williams, right? Like not one person in the show can say, yo, Riri saved me.
The hood was saved by her.
Okay. That's what we do.
I mean,
he was replaced by her. No, he was usurped. He was like, yo, what we doing? Like, yo.
I mean, technically, her intent was to save him from the hood.
I mean, okay. And then she sold her soul. I mean,
that's wild, bro. That was wild. I didn't see that coming at all.
Yo, what she put Zeke Stain through? Like that dude was minding his own business, living his life, like his own little hobby. You know what I mean? Yo, she showed up and was like, yo, this is what you gonna do. And I'm gonna make sure you stay out of it. And she didn't. She didn't make sure he stayed out of it. Like, yo, he ended up getting blackmailed by all of the things that she did. It's like, yo, I don't like you. Like, I wouldn't fuck with you if we was in the hood. I'm not helping you. Listen. The right person, I'm not no snitch, so it wouldn't be me. But the right person might need to make some phone calls because you're not the one. Based upon everything I know about you, I don't want you flying around in the super suit. Like, I don't want you to have that ability. Like, yo, no, for real. Like, I'm not voting for you to do that. Bro, but I thought the show was really great.
I think there's a reason why this is happening, and I think it's going to play into Doomsday.
mean, all of it's leading towards
Well,
doomsday.
obviously, but I'm saying this is going to be a very significant aspect of the doom. Either that, or they're setting up Riri to be the big bad in Strange Academy.
The big bad in Strange Academy. First of all, Strange Academy's canceled.
Is it?
Yeah, it was canceled before. Remember, this show is like 3 years ago.
Oh yeah, you're right.
It was made. You know what I mean?
Okay, so I mean,
Strange
and
Academy.
maybe that was the intent to have it lead into that, right?
Well, you need Mephisto obviously for Doomsday.
Yeah.
And obviously it helps that we're gonna rush Mephisto out, not rush him out, but put him out. There's some fandom there. Like we're actually paying attention to fans, and we lost Kang. We lost Kang. I think we're gonna see Kang again, but we lost Kang, so it's like, okay, we got to get Mephisto in there. We got to do something, right? Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom is getting so many mixed reactions. Which shout out to the anti-woke people for at the very least being true to the game when it comes to their critique of Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom. This is the one case where I can say, all right, at least you showed up to heckle and talk shit about this casting as much as you talk shit about any other casting that may make sense, but you just don't like because you think everything is woke. I just want to be clear. Every time a woman or a black person or someone from the LGBT community or minority is cast in a role doesn't mean that it is woke. I just want to be clear on that.
And it also doesn't mean it's DEI.
It also exactly, which for me it was.
However,
yes.
However, I will go on a tangent and say, having previously worked for the Walt Disney Company through ESPN, I will tell you there is an absolute agenda of expanding the audience in the Walt Disney Company. It's all about expanding the audience and making sure everyone can feel the magic, right? And that level of inclusivity, it's down to the macro level where if they have what are called, ESPN specifically has what are they called, blurgs, and I forgot what it stands for, but it's bergs, but basically it's like a private organization within the company that is built up of different demographics, and they get to speak on and inform to ensure that representation is done accurately and professionally, and address instances where it's not within the company in media from ESPN. And I can only imagine that if that existed in ESPN and that emphasis on ensuring people got it right or whatever is in ESPN, that it and with the Walt Disney Company having a priority in expanding their audience, that it would be the same thing for Marvel, right? And Marvel has always been big on diversity and always been big on representation any damn way, but specifically more so, Disney is absolutely 100%. It's literally in their priorities. Remember,
but it should be in their priorities. It should be.
Yeah, but it's not. It's like a company priority. Like like you have core values in the Air Force, or I don't know what y'all got in the Army, what y'all call it. Like the three things that we have. Like in like the pillars, like expanding the audience, which makes sense from a business standpoint, right? But the way they take it is like it's not just about making sure everybody gets to see it and becomes a part of the audience. But it's like, everyone should feel as if they have the opportunity to go through the same level. I mean, that's why there were so many, there was an agenda, is what I'm saying, in Ironheart. There was an agenda.
And there should be.
Yeah.
There should be. Again. So, and this could go left, right, up, down, topsy-turvy, round and round. It could go all the ways, right? So from a perspective, it's easy for you and I to come to these conclusions and to say these things as Black people who are thinking critically and are educated and looking at ideals, right? Looking at the idealism and ideal aspects of the situation.
Yeah.
But then there's the realism, right? And we can do that because we're smart. Right, we're not stupid. We critically think, and we can say, "Hey," sure. and in our space. But from a realistic perspective, right? Let's go all the way back to affirmative action. It was necessary. it actually was necessary.
Yeah, for
because
sure.
there wasn't an even playing field.
For sure.
These agendas are actually necessary, whether people like them or not. And this is what it comes down to. Because let's be ideal. Let's be real. Realistically, and I'm always screaming this because fuck you. And I'm not talking about you. I mean, fuck you, whomever you may be. I'm always screaming this. If you're not the target audience, I grew up half of my life not being a target audience. Half of my life, I wasn't the target audience.
I would go on to say that it was probably closer to 3/4 of our lives. You know what I mean? Like, we were not the target audience.
So if you're critical of these little agendas, these micro agendas that seem major to you, like, yo, and I'm serious about this. I have to say this because I feel like there's a whole bunch of people that's in their feelings and it bothers me. And there's forums that I can't say it in. I have my own forum. I have my own platform. I'm on it right now. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I can actually say this. If you're critical of these little micro agendas that are that are creating a target audience that is not you, but you have lived on the side of history where you have been the target audience for like 90% of history, and you're critical of the 10 minutes, like these little micro agendas make you feel depressed. They make you feel left out. They make you like, it's like 10 minutes of you have to endure seeing something. Yo, I come from a generation where 10 years removed from when I was born, y'all was screaming the same shit. I don't want to see. I just read an article today about Franklin, and today being the birthday of Franklin from Charlie Brown, and how impactful it was when Charles Schultz created Franklin, the black kid, and Charlie Brown in the 60s after the death of Martin Luther King. He was asked by a school teacher if he could include a black character, and how much pushback he got from the publishers for doing so, and he did it anyway. And the publishers, there was an actual newspaper published that they didn't mind seeing the black kid, but did you have to do an illustration of a black kid in school with white kids? Right? This was in the 60s. Listen, we're not be shocked. This is normal. Yeah. Right? This is in the 60s, right?
Yeah.
So in the 21st century, the narrative is, well, do we have to have a show where the writer and the producer is black and the main character is black and the supporting actors are black and the villain is brown and but the best part of the show was when the white guy shows up to portray the devil? Like, yo, this is what happened. This is Riri. This is the aftermath, right? We going into the aftermath.
Yeah.
The aftermath is, I didn't watch it. I sat through 5 episodes of garbage you sat through 5 episodes of garbage to get to the white guy. Let's filter out all the BS and call it what it is, right? You sat through all the episodes, every episode of the garbage to get to the white guy.
God. Okay. So I think what's being said in those statements,
I'm saying it.
No. But what I'm saying is that certain people just don't value things they don't value, right? And I mean, like, if I'm not Muslim American, right? But I can find the value in a Miss Marvel series that is highlighting culture and life in that community. I can find that value. When I watched Shang-Chi, I very much so appreciated and found value from that. The people who are vocally saying this absolutely do not have a ability to find value in experiences outside of the experiences they know, right?
I'm gonna stop you there.
Okay.
Really quick. I'm gonna say they don't find value in inherently black and brown experiences. Things that they can associate, in my opinion, and that they can tie to black, brown, women, or LGBTQ. Shang-Chi is an exception, right? Because you can look at that movie and you can have no problem. Nobody has a problem with how culturally focused Shang-Chi is.
This is true.
Because it's so far removed from the types of races that have impacted American history. It's really far removed. But when you say Muslim, right? When you say black, here comes the critics. Well, no one criticized why Shang-Chi needed to have an all Asian cast. Like nobody criticized it.
Yeah,
there was
right.
There was no criticism. Right. Like seriously, right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you say Muslim, and I'm sorry to make it so to just be so cut and dry with it. I'm not sorry. When you say Muslim or when you say black, here comes the criticism, and it's always dressed in this black people. You know, somebody said recently, right? Why is it when black people achieve any level of success, they have to feign ignorance to their own experience, or they find themselves ostracized? They have to feign ignorance to the politics of their own experiences when they reach certain levels of success to continue to have that success without being canceled in the worlds that they want to navigate, and especially when it comes to entertainment and being able to open your voice and speak, right? They have to very much toe the politically correct line, even though you are aware of an experience as it pertains to your culture. You are actually aware of it and know that certain things go on. There's certain things that like Stephen A. Smith just can't get on ESPN and be like, yeah, these people are just straight racist. They can't say what I'm saying right now. He could not say, well, y'all hated everything about Riri except the white guy. But you hated everything about Riri except the white guy. You did. You could call it, you could put it in any box that you want to put it in. That's what it, if I get rid of all of the fodder and I cut through the wheat, separate the wheat from the chaff, that's what I get from you. I hated everything about Riri, but oh yeah, Mephisto showing up was cool. But I could take it one step further. Well, I never asked for Riri, which is why I'm not going to watch Riri. You never asked for Mephisto. When Disney dropped Iron Man 1 and Disney dropped Captain America, you wasn't sitting like, I can't wait for Mephisto.
I think
hold on. Let me just say this and then you can go. You know what put Mephisto in y'all hearts and minds? They dropped the whitest show in the history of the MCU called WandaVision. Yo, am I wrong? Am I wrong? There is no whiter Disney show. There is no whiter Disney show than WandaVision. Like, I love WandaVision. I think it's really dope. What I'm saying is, it is the definition of caucasity. Like, it is the definition of mayonnaise sandwich. And they dropped Seeds of Mephisto in that show, and y'all been screaming Mephisto ever since. That's where we first heard Mephisto.
Did they even mention Mephisto in?
No, they put Blackheart on like a piece of paper in her kitchen or some shit. No. Like Blackheart Tupperware, or you know what I mean? Something like porcelain or something like that. And people, oh, that's the son of Mephisto. Mephisto's coming. He's behind all, which matters because she created her kids. She altered reality, but she actually took pieces of Mephisto, a non-corporeal Mephisto, without knowing. She didn't know. But that's the substance that she used to create her kids.
Yeah. I kind of feel like it's kind of what you're saying, but not entirely, right? Because I think it's deeper than that. And I think the depth is that people don't want to see that, right? It's not that they don't want to see a black woman in a prominent role. They don't want to see an authentic black experience in their media. That's not something that they find appreciation in. Whether it's because
Black Panther's a little too tribal.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. You know what I'm saying? The authenticity of Ironheart being in the Chicago experience. Listen, I was raised in Chicago. I was there from age of 3 till 18 when I joined the military. Like it I have largely said that I will never go back to Chicago, like unless I'm visiting my sisters. But I'll never go back. That place made me miss Chicago. I mean, not that place. That show made me miss Chicago. I was like homesick. Like, oh wow, this is like so Chicago. The soundtrack was so Chicago. Like the characters that were in it. I think they were so Chicago, maybe removed from my generation. But I feel like, yo, this is so Chicago. You know what I mean? And it ain't the worst side of Chicago that you've ever seen. Like Chicago is it can get way worse and way nicer. You know what I'm saying? Because Home Alone was done in Chicago, right? That's North Side Chicago. That's some North Chicago shit. You know what I mean? That's how they get down, right? Accurate, true. You know what I'm saying? Suburb, whatever. You know, yo, Ironheart was South Side Chicago for sure. For sure. And it wasn't necessarily the, like, I don't know, man. It was just everything about it just came off very authentic. They really put a lot of effort ensuring that this was to me the most grounded MCU show ever. Like it was literally
I agree.
The most grounded because
it was a dope show too, by the way.
It was a great show. I like to me, like bro, this is up there. I love WandaVision for the artistic piece that it is, right? Like WandaVision for me was just it tickled my funny bone the whole way from a film television standpoint, and just the whole rollout and how they did it. Ironheart stands on its own just from standing on its own because it was so authentic. I'm not saying that the heist with robot armor is authentic. I'm talking about the setting and the environment in which they were in. That is so Chicago. I can attest to that like wholeheartedly. Now,
there were some glaring plot holes.
Yeah, listen.
Riri's mother is who's really dope.
I'm never gonna debate no shit like that. Like, the writer should have wrote it this way. Or
no, I don't think they should have wrote it that way. I just felt there's one character that they were supposed to listen. We're talking authentic, right?
Yeah.
What Chicago black mother is going to find out that her best friend is a wizard that just teleported her from the top floor of her shop to the basement of her shop and just take that like it's like just take that with it like, okay. All right, Riri, we got to figure this out. Like, yo, I'm like, wait a minute, hold on.
That is not a plot hole. That's
okay. It's a plot hole.
It's just, perhaps it's an inconsistency.
It's very, listen, bruh, if I'm chilling with you one day and you just snap your fingers and we in the basement, Yo, we got some ironing out. We got some come to Jesus. We gotta have some come to Jesus moments. It ain't gonna be. Listen, when I get home, I'm still calling you like, yo, bro. So explain this to me again. Like, wait a minute. For real, which tribe did your people come from in the motherland? Like, break this down for me again. Yo, I do got to get ready to wrap it up.
Yeah. No, let's wrap here. I think this is a good point to wrap. Listen, this is first episode of Better Word Than Blerd. Our podcast will be on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, all the things, Instagram,
some IG, TikTok, maybe some little TikTok snippets, blah blah blah. We're gonna be doing all the things,
right? I hope you guys find value in this content because we think it's very entertaining and enlightening.
Yo, I'm going to tell y'all, people, we had some conversations and discussions today that are relevant. They're relevant to this community. They're necessary. You need to hear them. You need to participate. You need to go into your circles and have these same conversations, which I'm sure you're having. Just don't do it the way that we do it because we might be a little bit better at it than y'all are. And maybe not. I'm just saying.
But yeah, listen, if you enjoyed this content, leave a comment below. Give a like, thumbs up, and all the things. Until next time, this is Better Word Than Blerd. I'm Matt Lucas, and that is...
I'm Issue X, and I'm out of here.